Welcome to the First Baptist on Fifth podcast. I'm Kyle Caudle, Associate Pastor for Youth, Missions, and Adults, and host of this special podcast series to help guide you through the season of Lent. I'll be interviewing folks from our church to discuss devotional practices, and today I'm joined by Julie Hall, member at First on Fifth, and now devotional writer.
What's up?
Yeah, we're going to begin this series. Now, the last podcast, I did an interview with David Williamson just to kind of guide us through the rhythms of Lent. And so now we're going to enter the rest of the podcast series with a format. It'll begin with scripture and then a reading of the devotion that you wrote, or a selection of that, and then a conversation about how that relates to spiritual practices during the season of Lent. So our scripture that you wrote on, it's from the Sermon on the Mount, which is Jesus's words in the Gospel of Matthew. And there's these selections from chapter 6, and it begins with verse 1, and then we skip ahead to 16 through 18. There's one about public prayer, and there's one, I think, what was the other practice? I'm losing it. And then this one is on fasting. So apparently I need to read these devotions so I can get that middle one down. But I'm going to begin with a reading of that selection from Matthew 6. This is going to be verse 1 and then 16 through 18. And then I'll invite you to share what you wrote.
Excellent.
So Matthew 6. Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. When you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces to show others they are fasting. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen. And your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you.
A recent fascination of mine is the Christian influencer on YouTube, young men and women who have felt called to broadcast their lives, relationships, and families to millions in order to showcase a godly life. After some time and growth of a following, you often see these folks offer some sort of spiritual boot camp or Christian relationship course for the low price of $1,000. You could argue that they are an easy spot for those who show others they are fasting, but are we much different? In our Do It for the Gram society, likes, comments, and follows encourage us to always be sharing with the world around us and through the phone in our pocket. We share morning routines, meals, the concerts we attend, our child's accomplishments, our grief, our anger, where we volunteer, our first time at the Grand Canyon. We aren't rolling in spiritual boot camp money, but we share so much, so often, that sometimes it starts to feel unreal unless we have received some sort of social media validation. What if we tried something different this Lenten season? What if instead of attempting to capture and document, we simply held these moments while they happened and allowed the stillness to be filled by God?
Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
So, Julie, why were you interested in being one of our devotion writers for this series?
Well, I'm pretty new to being back into faith, officially, and I just saw it as a great way to become more a part of the First on Fifth community, but also as a chance to step outside of my comfort zone and dare to believe I had something good to share with everyone. Yeah. So I wanted to challenge myself and really examine some scripture. So
yeah. So as kind of editing these and put them together, it's a very rewarding experience on my end to see devotions like yours and others who've shared, and just the wisdom, the depth, the kind of insight that you have. And I think we'll talk more about some of the insights you have, because I thought they were very they resonated a lot with me, but I think they're very relevant kind of to our situation now. And a lot of things that you mentioned, I'm like, yeah, we see that all the time.
Yeah.
So did you have an experience with Lent, like this season, like growing up in church, or if not, when did you kind of first were aware of kind of this Lenten season that leads up to Easter?
Yeah, I grew up in a very like evangelical Southern Baptist church that did not follow the liturgical calendar
Mm-hmm.
at all. So this is like I always thought Lent was just something like Catholics did.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like my first religious go at
Okay.
Lent. Like we've done stuff in the past, but so yeah, like I'm pretty excited to dive in and like give it a shot and yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I think you approach it with new eyes, you know, and
Yes.
some people,
Yeah.
I think it's just, oh, we've always done it this way.
Yeah.
But no, there's something, I was like that too. Like I was, in last week's conversation with David, I was saying, you know, growing up Baptist as well, but the only holy days we celebrated were Easter and Christmas,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And so
yeah.
maybe a little Good Friday if we're feeling really,
Yeah.
you know,
Get
really,
spicy.
really spiritual,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But so didn't have that. But then I remember I did attend a Baptist church that did Ash Wednesday, and I was like, this is a very different kind of service. So I found it like very inviting. One thing I've noticed here for our Ash Wednesday services, we usually have at least a good handful of visitors, and I may never see them again. But there's just something about that service that it's like, I want to go to Ash Wednesday service. I see it more among like younger generations. I don't know what it is about that, but there's something kind of.
I think it's also a little bit like my wife and I, we were driving around the other day and it was like you could do a drive-in ashing.
Yeah.
And it is so much just like when can you get to a service? Because I know for myself, I have to go to the 7:30, I think St. Paul's down the street because I'm not on or like I'm not off until 7.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you won't be at our service,
No,
but you're gonna.
I miss you guys.
Yeah,
So,
that's great.
yeah.
There's a lot of great churches in this town that offer ashes as well.
Yes.
And we are glad that you can go to St. Paul's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So I want to dig in a little bit into your devotion. You're right, because I think you bring up some really great insights. So the word I kind of call this is what Jesus is talking about here in Matthew 6. Like performative righteousness.
Yeah.
So like this kind of like I got to show you how spiritual I am.
Yeah.
So let's do that. And then I like how you connect with influencer culture and particularly Christian influencer culture. That doesn't show up a lot in my algorithm. So why do you think Christian influencer is a thing?
It only shows up in my algorithm because I am like wildly obsessed with like different trains of thought. So like I get really into like why does the alt-right go there or like so Christian influencer, I just love watching videos breaking it down psychologically, and I think a lot of it is we were all taught. I like how here we say we're taught to serve, but everywhere else it was like you're taught to witness. And it's like every time you bring someone to Jesus, it's like a little lever of like yes. So in social media culture, you're constantly going for follows and you're constantly going for comments. And I think that lends itself to the evangelical, like, witnessing model of get as many people in as possible. But then also you start getting brand deals. And if you say the wildest thing, more people are going to listen. So I have not come across many, like, progressive Christian influencers. So it's also just like interesting to see people who think and live so differently than me. So yes, the performative righteousness, I think it just is perfect for that camera always in your face culture that we kind of have going.
Yeah, and the other like the kind of it's harder if you're looking for like a deeper kind of faith experience. It doesn't translate to metrics as well. So
Yeah,
because you probably remember like you go to like a church camp or something and they report this many souls were saved.
Yes, yeah,
and so we have an actual number, but like how do you measure someone's spiritual growth? It's like so that's a lot trickier.
Well, and it's interesting too because a lot of these influencers measure it on your ability to kind of pretend nothing's wrong because they call it like the joy of Christ. Like you're just not experiencing it hard enough. So
Okay.
it's like you never have a negative emotion.
Mm.
Or if you are, then you're just not experiencing Christ the right way. And
Yeah.
I that's also something interesting is experiencing Christ the right way is
Hmm.
kind of an oxymoron or something. Like I just
Yeah.
don't I think everyone experiences
Hmm.
it so differently, like that feeling. So,
Yeah. Giving people permission to have the emotions they have,
yeah.
and not saying, well, like, and I think when I read like even the Gospels, like Jesus has a range of emotions there. Like he
Yes.
grieves at times, he's
Yeah.
angry at times. I imagine he's joyful. I don't know if we get enough of that, but I feel that there's this sarcasm that comes across in some of the parables and things like that.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I imagine there is like some joy to that, but it's this range of emotion,
Mhm.
and I think like during Lent, like it is a more inward, introspective kind of vibe, if you want, for the season, and sometimes that's not associated with joy necessarily. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
joyful to get ashes on your head and say you were dust, and you're going to die one day. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So that doesn't that may not be a clickable message that people want to share.
Yeah. Yeah. I could definitely see that. I think there's also some beauty though in knowing like I think that people don't savor. I think we're gonna kind of talk about that in a moment too. It's like I think people don't savor enough.
Yeah.
And that's what being reminded that you're dust, that's what it should be doing. It's like, hey,
Hmm.
you're only here for a short time.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about savoring. So I think in the words you used in your devotion were like this kind of need that we can all have, like even if we're not influencers, we're
Mhm.
still capturing and documenting.
Yeah.
So was there a reason you used those words there for kind of our experience for how we are always taking pictures and posting things, or
Yeah. Well, I mean, because it feels like if you don't take a picture of it, then it's like it is gone forever, but you look at it as a bad thing, like
Mhm.
because now you'll never get to have it again, and it's like, well, you were never meant to have it forever. So like capturing is like I think a lot of what people think they need to be doing in
Mhm.
like their happiest moments and their greatest accomplishments is like holding that moment forever.
Yeah.
And I think that puts like a big shield between you and that moment. And
Mhm.
then, documenting, you're putting your entire life. Like we don't have shoeboxes of pictures anymore. We have like an Instagram and a Facebook.
That's right.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think about it like, so if I go to a concert now, it's like people will try to film the whole show. It's like they're
Right?
watching
Yeah.
this whole thing's happening
Yeah.
in front of you, and you're watching it all through this little 7-inch screen.
It gets to the point where
Yeah.
it's like you're not you yourself,
Mhm.
even if you don't have your
Mhm.
phone out, you're watching that concert through your tiny
Yeah.
like phone screen
Right, exactly.
of the person in front of
Mhm.
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And we do that in so many ways. I mean, I think people that go out in nature, and it's like we climb this big mountain, but
Yeah.
rather than look at this beautiful view, we're going to
Right.
get a selfie in front of it,
Right,
and that's
yeah.
fine, for every now and then.
And it's
but
like I'm
yeah,
totally guilty of
Yeah,
that too. Like
yeah.
it's just so pervasive in our culture now. So
Yeah. So the opposite of that, or to kind of think about maybe being present or savoring more, what would that look like?
so like when I was 18 years old and we had this huge snowstorm and I just remember I just stood on the top of my dad's car. Like he had a truck back then, so I was in the bed of the truck. And I just got to watch all the snowfall and like listen to it and I could see the outline of everything. And it's just like I just sat there and just held it. Like I just like I let it settle in and I tried to like extend all of my five senses. And it sounds kind of exhausting in a way to like just like sit there and try and hold something so completely, but like you get better at it. Um, but yeah, just like kind of like savoring every little bit, like the sounds you hear, the things you smell, the sights you're seeing, and that's probably like one of my most cherished memories because I'll never forget what it was like to feel 18 in that moment
Mm.
and like kind of like be transitioning from adulthood to childhood, and it's like I'm so glad I have that. If that kind of makes sense,
It
like
does
and
make
like how
sense,
to do it.
but you have no pictures of that.
No,
You have no videos of
no,
that. It's
no.
all
It's just like it's all
memory.
right
Yeah,
here. And
yeah.
that was like, I mean, I'm 36
Mhm,
now, so
mhm.
almost
Double.
20 years
Yeah,
ago.
half your
Yeah,
life
yeah,
ago. Yeah.
exactly.
I'm struck by the word that we keep hearing in Lent, remember.
Hmm.
And it is that memory kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not let's take a picture and compare it to
Yeah.
what I looked like then. But no, it is remember recalling this event happened, or this truth in the sense that remember that you were dust.
Yeah. And I feel like it's so easy to just kind of forget what those words even mean. Like, remember, we say it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't think we sit enough also with like the weight of definitions,
Yeah.
like we will return to dust at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I will ramble on, but yeah.
Ramble on.
Right
That's
on.
that's great. So savoring is one thing, like experience the moment.
Yeah.
Another way to kind of think about it is being present, and like whether that's being present to your surroundings, like
Mhm.
a place you're in, or being present to people in your life. How do you find what, or it seems like from what you're writing that there's this really emphasis on we do need to be more present. So why do you
Mm.
think that's so important, especially today?
Oh, I mean, first off, I think that like being present in the moment, in the good moments, especially, allows for you to be stronger in the bad moments.
Mhm.
I think that God exists in the little moments. And also, I mean, it's like as we've been talking about, like, there's the saying, I'm not of the world, I'm in the world.
Mhm.
And it's like I think a lot of times that's used for, you know, casting aside things, but I think it should also be used for embracing, because it's like
Mhm.
you are like everything is in the world. It is not of the world. It will all go away
Mhm.
someday. Um and I think that's just human nature. I think that like when you savor and you enjoy the moment, like not only are you having a deeper experience with God, but you're also like adding your little bit to the human story.
Mhm.
If that kind of
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, just I think that it's something that doesn't happen enough nowadays, and I think you can really see that in like our loneliness epidemics, and
Mhm.
even just the other week hearing about all the things that we used to have socially in the
Mhm.
church. It's kind of gone away for.
And what are you referencing
I'm
there?
so sorry.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
100
Yeah.
year anniversary, and they were
Yeah.
talking about how we would go and they would have cream cheese
Yes.
sandwiches,
Yeah.
and it's been like how long? And like
I've never heard of it. I've heard of a cream
I
cheese on a bagel.
know.
I've never heard of a cream cheese sandwich.
I'm gonna be
That's
honest. I was
yeah.
like, that's so good for you
Yeah.
guys,
Yeah.
but
Uh-huh.
I don't think it sounds that great. But I
No.
mean,
No.
like, yeah, I mean,
Maybe I imagine what are those the little triangles, or sometimes they're round, but it's like a cucumber, and then maybe
yeah,
that's
like
what.
the little
Yeah. Yeah.
tea, maybe, or
Maybe
maybe
that's
it
what it
was
was.
just
I don't know.
straight up
Maybe
ice cream. I've also heard of that.
they call them cream cheese sandwiches. So.
Ah, dang
Yeah,
it, I don't
that
know.
would be ice cream
Maybe
sandwiches.
we
I
should
don't
have
know.
a throwback.
We need to. I
Yeah,
think that was an era, but in hearing, yeah, that all those were memories. Again,
exactly.
like we
Yeah,
do, like we had all these pictures on the around the room of what it
exactly.
like, but that didn't capture everything. It just
Yeah,
captured part of it,
yeah.
and the stories we hear are not those kind of memories. That was good to hear the kind of the ways that we're present to one another. It does look different now. I think I've found like just to hear them share, like, okay, so we went Sunday, we went
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday, we did all these other
Yeah,
things. These were my best friends. You heard a lot of that kind of
yeah.
talk. And then now we're like, I'm lucky to get here on Sunday, if not
Right.
late,
Yeah.
So, and then now like the most dedicated people are, wow, if we see you 2 Sundays a month, we know
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's been a shift, just the busyness that people have for sure.
Right.
Um,
And like,
and
what are we doing?
yeah,
You know?
what does
Yeah.
presence look like in
Yeah.
that? How do you, and then, so I think that's like a kind of a question we have in ministry and just in being a church is like, how can we still be present to
Yeah.
people? And one is, I think, sharing stories. I mean, whether it's writing devotion or having a podcast, having a conversation,
Mm-hmm.
I think in sharing that, hopefully we're giving people this kind of permission to experience presence more,
Yeah.
not just by consuming something, but by participating in somebody else's story.
Exactly. And like, and just enjoying it,
Yeah,
soaking it in.
yeah. So, have you given things up for Lent before?
No.
Have you thought about that at all? Are you considering
Yes. Oh,
what
yeah.
what are you considering this year?
Um, my wife thinks I'm considering too much, but I definitely I got a little like brick thing to
Uh-huh.
like literally turned my phone into a brick where I can only get like calls and stuff. So trying to give up like the social media and stuff like that. But also baked goods, because that's like my kryptonite. And then
And you do live like on top of a bakery,
yeah,
is
I
that
do.
right?
Yeah, I'm around like 5,000 bakeries.
That's pretty hard.
Yeah. But I think it's also like what I want to incorporate during that time is like, daily quiet times and walks and stuff like that, just to, I feel like I'm kind of like bumbling my way through it, but yeah.
Well, I do like the way something you identified in your devotion is also something you are either struggling or dealing with yourself and everybody else too. But I think the honesty to engage that, and then you're now considering taking on a practice that actually addresses the thing that you're talking about. So
there was inspiration.
I like that.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit different option maybe than some people have considered to give up. We often talk about giving up sweets and things like that, but that's really about presence.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Julie, for joining us on the First Baptist on Fifth podcast. You can find Julie's devotion as well as other devotions on our website, firstonfifth.org, or you can follow the link in our church newsletter. Thank you, and go in peace.